In the ever-evolving world of business, Mac Holdings Private Limited has demonstrated its ability to adapt to changing customer needs by providing innovative and customized solutions. Today, we are one of Sri Lanka's most respected, diversified conglomerates with a presence in shipping, strategic investments, aviation, hospitality and leisure, renewable energy, freight and logistics, fisheries and aquaculture, and more. We have been able to expand our presence in the region, providing unmatched expertise, the highest quality and service. Our remarkable growth is driven by our innate ability to reinvent ourselves. Mac Holdings, we cannot spell success without you.
Your relationship with savings begins at a tender age when you don't even realize the value of money. As you mature and take on responsibilities, the relationship you share with savings will make you prudent. And as you reach the golden years of adulthood, your relationship with savings will give you the freedom to relax with dignity. Commercial Bank, building your relationship with savings through years of trust, safety, and stability.
වැඩ කරන දඩුවට දෙනවා නම් ගන්න අමාරු. වැඩ කරන එකද? කීයද කියන්නේ? බලලා කියනවා මට.
As you mature and take on responsibilities, the relationship you share with savings will make you prudent.
In the ever-evolving world of business, Mac Holdings Private Limited has demonstrated its ability to adapt to changing customer needs by providing innovative and customized solutions. Today, we are one of Sri Lanka's most respected, diversified conglomerates, with a presence in shipping, strategic investments, aviation, hospitality and leisure, renewable energy, freight and logistics, fisheries and aquaculture, and more. We have been able to expand our presence in the region, providing unmatched expertise, the highest quality, and an excellent service. Our remarkable growth is driven by our innate ability to reinvent ourselves. Mac Holdings, we cannot spell success without you.
Your relationship with savings begins at a tender age when you don't even realize the value of money. As you mature and take on responsibilities, the relationship you share with savings will make you prudent. And as you reach the golden years of adulthood, your relationship with savings will give you the freedom to relax with dignity. Commercial Bank, building your relationship with savings through years of trust, safety and stability.
Not that. You're better than. Morning.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome for today's event. We have a fantastic line of speakers who will take us through on how this COVID control certification helped for us to mitigate this pandemic. So may I initially invite the chairman of Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Vish Govindasamy, to speak to us, please.
Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Rohan Tatakurala. A very warm welcome to all of you. It's indeed a great pleasure for the Ceylon Chamber to partner with the Rotary and the Sri Lanka Standards Institution to take this initiative of Stop the Spread and create awareness session on being organized on the COVID-19 controlled environment certification. The Ceylon Chamber collaborated with the Rotary and SLSI on similar series during the last few years as well. To share a few thoughts on this shared vision, as you all know, and I don't need to elaborate, we are going through a very difficult time in Sri Lanka right now. Obviously, for the economic and political changes that has taken place, and also due to all the global changes that has taken place. and the last 2 years of the global pandemic. And now it is coming back as well. World over, COVID is resurging everywhere. And at the same time, we are going through sovereign debt crisis. We are going through a food crisis, fuel crisis, to name a few. So, however, the private sector has continued to be resilient and has been able to navigate through this very difficult times and survive and show perseverance through this time. Um, could I ask everybody to mute your microphones, please? There is some disturbance, if you don't mind. While to show that our economy is slowing down, if you look at the last Purchasing Managers Index, it is showing continuous decline, and both in services and in manufacturing. So, as you know, so we have a new president, a new government, and now they're working on an all-party government. If all this goes well, maybe we can survive through this difficult time. While we are trying to survive through this difficult time, what we don't want is the COVID pandemic to come and affect our businesses like it did during the 2 years of the pandemic. We have a lot of work to do while the government is working with the IMF and trying to get our economy back in line, and we need the entire debt restructuring done so that we can go back into the market and maybe raise funds to get our foundation back together. So I don't need to keep on saying the WHO has already indicated that the resurgence of COVID. We have many cases showing up daily. Now even we are back to having deaths on COVID. So like I said, we don't want the COVID to resurge again and slow down our services and especially our manufacturing. Because if it gets back to our manufacturing places, then everything shuts down and our exports will slow down, and the little bit of foreign currency that we have coming will also go down. So I am very grateful that both the SLSI and the Rotary, brilliantly have got together and come up with this certification process. I know during the previous certification process, big companies like Akbar Brothers, even multinational like Nestle, a large tire exporter, Trollberg, all have got into this and got COVID-19 certification. Even the large retail chain like Kiehl's have adopted a solution called Stop the Spread. So the number of recertifications that have come about now also gives us a lot of confidence that the companies want to work in a COVID-19 controlled environment. So without further ado, I would once again congratulate both Rotary and SLSI for having come up with this great plan. And I wish you all a good, successful workshop today. Before I go, I would like to take this occasion to say a special word of thanks to Dr. Siddhika Senaratne, Director General of the SLSI, Ms. Pubudu de Souza, the Rotary Governor for 22-23 in Sri Lanka and Maldives, Mr. Dushan Sosa, Chairman Stop the Spread, and of course our own Dr. Rohan Tatagorala, whom we all very well know, Project Director on the Stop to Spread, and Mr. Ranesh Jayagoda of Akbar Brothers. So thank you once again for your presence today, and we look forward to a brilliant session. Do stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, and appreciate for those words to really motivate us, because as you know, the private sector is the engine of growth, and if the private sector is not going to come about this given leadership, Sri Lanka is going to be in a very crossroad. We know that our incomes are at about 1.6 trillion, our expenditures are at 3.4 trillion. So the country will have to go through some serious restructuring. And if this restructuring does not happen, we will find that IMF is going to be quite far away, and that's going to have an impact with regard to how we're going to get some bridge financing. So we have a bigger agenda, and today's event fits into that agenda to make sure that the private sector would contribute and drive the growth. Last month, we had, for the first time, I think, in 20 years, positive trade what shall I say, the deficit was not there. We had almost a 20% positive. So, which means that the private sector is doing its task. And thank you so much, Chairman, for the leadership you have given. Can I now invite the district governor for Rotary? She's the first time she's actually addressing a forum. This is her first address to the business community. Let me just take a quick view of her. A person who has a lot of experience across different types of companies. She's handled so many projects, starting from the cancer prevention, school rebuilding, post-tsunami, dengue eradication projects, and also being the national coordinator for the Polio Plus program. She has amazing amount of skills. University graduate from the University of Moratuwa, a chartered civil engineer, and masters from Colombo. And then, of course, she passed out in CIMA and in CIM. And she went on to serve many multinationals across different parts of the country, and then, of course, in the South Asian region. And then subsequently, she joined the government in the Ministry of Health. And I mean, we are actually pleased to have a person of this caliber to be the governor of Rotary Sri Lanka and Maldives. Ladies and gentlemen, Puputu Disoisa.
Thank you very much, past President Dr. Rohan Tatukorala, the Rotarian who actually put this program together for Rotary. Thank you once again for the invitation, Mr. Govindasamy, and also Dr. Siddhika for inviting Rotary to continue partnering with this great project or the program. My dear friends, good morning and greetings from Rotary International District 3220, Sri Lanka and Maldives. We represent more than 2,000 Rotarians in Sri Lanka and Maldives, whereas our global presence is about 1.2 million of us working towards many aspects, including for the current economic crisis, how we can help Sri Lanka in getting together, working together. In that sense, I think it's very relevant that Chamber of Commerce and also SLSI hand in hand put together this program again. We did it in 2020 and 2021, and again we came back to kind of revive this with other organizations. Thank you once again. Very special thanks to the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce and very specially the private sector organizations in our country who helped Rotary to be very live, not just today, but years back, even 1989 with the polio eradication program, we had the support of the chamber and also the corporate sector. Came to tsunami time, we set up more than 24 schools. Again, the private sector organizations were our partners. When came to COVID times, we set up, the very first automotive, the PCR equipment, more than 200 million. It was the private sector, the companies who help us. So thank you so much, each and every one of you who are here in today's audience. As our project director Rohantha, updated this program, we have already helped or rather connected specific industries such as tea, food, and many other last 2 years with this SLSI certification or the the process systems establishment. This was an innovative initiative the Rotary Sri Lanka in that time actually initiated for our country to win, and also we won a global award for the Rotary International Peoples of Action. That was actually none other than our past president, Dr. Rohantha Tukorala, who was the man who has got this award, thanks to everyone's effort. Dr. Siddhika also has, mentioned that more than 200, over 200 entities have already got this COVID-19 control the certificate. And as we see now again, there's a kind of COVID-19 coming up, obstructing our lives, giving us another aspects that we have looked into. So I sincerely believe we all need to be very much aware. There's some disturbance coming up. Turanga, yeah.
Ubudhu, you will have to unmute.
Yeah, she's on mute.
Can you hear me, Papa?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, so
I'm not sure which point I have been kind of muted, but I just wanted to inform friends, Dr. Siddhika informed me that over 200 entities are COVID certified.
Excuse me, your voice is not clear, doctor.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now okay.
Now it's
okay. Sorry, I think I'm coming on the two items, so that must be the case. So I think it's important for us to get this certification again across Sri Lanka, the other companies. So on behalf of Rotary, my sincere thanks to Dr. Siddhika and also the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce and SLSI officials doing this important task, establishing it for our country. Once again, this challenge, this deadly virus has come back to our country. And I repeat, deadly as last week, the virus was taken away more than 40 Sri Lankans and infected over thousands in this country. So we must stop the spread, my friends. If we not curtail this, it can impact income on our families and across this country. Therefore, what I would strongly urge to all the chief executive officers or the heads of each organization who are present today, please let's be responsible and to ensure this, this deadly virus is out of our earth. And let's work together with SLSI and Rotary team will definitely support you to ensure they stop the spread. Or the stop the spread will be to establish once again to ensure the safe Sri Lanka. So let's not ask what Sri Lanka can do for us. I think it's all about what we can do for Sri Lanka. And I think as Rotarians, we are so committed. I'm sure you too. And let's work together. And thank you once again, Dr. Siddhika, Dr. Mr. Govindasamy and Dr. Rohantha and the team for inviting me here today. I wish you all the very best. Take care and stay safe. Thank you. Over.
Thank you very much, District Governor for Rotary Sri Lanka and Maldives, Pubudhu Dizoisa, who is actually attached to the Ministry of Health, and she's also, of course, a very eminent person from the corporate world of Sri Lanka. We now have our chairman of the Stop the Spread project, who was actually so much in terms of architecturing this certification. May I now invite the past Rotary governor for Sri Lanka and Maldives, and he also sits on the Rotary International Strategic Planning Team for 4 years, which actually comes to an end only in 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, Dushan Sosa.
Thank you, Dr. Anta, for that brief intro. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to address everyone on this session. So I think putting my mind back, it was in the year 2019, somewhere in August, when we were all locked in at home. People are talking about a new normal, and honestly, I don't think any one of us knew what this new normal meant and the new lifestyles that we needed to adopt. And as we went along, Rotary launched a program called Stop the Spread, which was in fact architected by Dr. Rohanta. It was a case of providing equipment, wash basins, soaps, detergents, and so on to all the public places, schools, to ensure that people wash their hands and sanitize themselves. While this was going on, the lockdown was slowly coming to an end, and people were looking at getting back to work and the so-called experience, the so-called new normal. So we were discussing about this, and we had to somehow or other give some confidence and a comfort factor for people who are returning back to their workplaces after having been in lockdown for almost 2 to 3 months. So the only way to do that was to have some kind of a third party stating that your office place is safe, you can travel to your office. Of course, the mode of travel was also in question, like the three-wheelers and buses and so on. But at least from an office space situation, we had to create some kind of a standard process inside the office from the time of entering the office place to the time of leaving, some kind of a process, so that the process will be run and then a certification obtained. So without a certification, without somebody, a third party saying my office is safe, nobody could have put their hands up and said it's safe to come to work. So with that in mind, the obvious choice was to go to the premier standards institution in Sri Lanka, which is the Sri Lanka Standards Institution, SLSI. And we met with Dr. Siddhika. And to our amazement, I should say, a body like SLSI just jumped on this idea like a duck taking to water. And she immediately activated. There were a number of challenges and toll gates that we had to cross. All these were crossed efficiently by SLSI with the leadership of Dr. Siddhika. She hired a consultant to draft this new certification process for companies that was completely vetted out and rolled out. And immediately we had success when a couple of leading companies dived onto this and wanted to take in the certification. So primarily the very first move was Trelleborg. So, we are my sincere thanks to its CEO, Mr. Melwani, and everyone else in the company who showcased that having the certification was indeed very useful. And then it was the beginning of a road to certification. I think over 200 companies have been certified by CLSI, and I believe they're seeing the worth of having such a certification, which was initially, was on the back of our Stop the Spread program launched by Rotary, and then this whole concept of certification kicked off. Not only that, the proof of the pudding was really in the recertification, because if the companies were not benefiting and if they didn't see the advantages, they would have stopped the program. So many of these companies who took the certification have now gone in for recertification, and this doesn't come free of charge. There is a payment to be made. So the fact that they engaged themselves in this recertification process proved that the whole project was a success, and that the nation benefited, people benefited, organizations benefited, and Rotary was proud to be at the core of such a move in this country. Thank you, Dr. Rohanta. If there's anything more to add, let me know.
Thank you very much, Dushan, and appreciate sincerely for the leadership you gave during very difficult times. None of us could go on the streets. You didn't know what this whole project was all about. In fact, when this project started, we didn't even know where it was heading because it was so uncertain. And later on, only it started emerging, saying that there is a thing called a new normal, and it involves washing the hands and keeping a distance, and making sure you don't sneeze, and if you are doing, you hold your elbow. And of course, I must acknowledge the National Olympic Committee, who actually gave us the athletes, and we had about 167 top athletes who have all won gold medals, silver medals at different championships. Also, of course, the Sri Lankan cricket team, the Sri Lankan rugby team, who all came on board with the peoples like the Sangakaras and the Chamindavas and the Arvindras of the world who endorsed this brand. And they were the brand ambassadors who took it straight away to the schools, to the 8,000 interactors and 8,000 rotaractors. And we were able to kind of shield the community and support to make sure that we will not be part of the statistics. May I now invite the real architect of it, a lady who I have a lot of respect for. I remember going to her office when there were like 2-3 people in office at that time. And when I shared this idea with her, and she said, we would like from Rotary to do this. And she said, I really don't know what it is, but it's, I think, a brilliant idea. She hails from the John Hopkins University, amazing graduate from the Sri Lankan university system. I mean, I wish there are more people like this in the public sector who runs public sector organizations at a profitable level. A very, very straightforward lady who says whatever that she has to say straight to the face, including in the media. And Dr. Siddhika, would you mind sharing us as to how this certification works in SLSI? And of course, how many companies have taken this certification, how many have looked at recertification. I know you guys have earned over 20 to 30 million from this project, and I hope you would give some of this money to Rotary. We are also doing a lot of projects, finding funding, and it's a project that got you the money. I hope, I know it's a government institution and you can't give the money, but we really appreciate for all the great work you're giving. Dr. Siddhika, over to you, and the new trends you see have to protect every single of our companies. Over to you, Dr. Siddhika.
Thank you, Dr. Rohanta. Good morning, everybody. First of all, let me thank the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce for organizing this webinar, and Mr. Govinda Raj and Dr. Rohanta for inviting me. It is very unfortunate after a lapse of 6 or 7 months without a single patient, we have to talk about COVID-19 again. So I'm going to talk about COVID-19 certification SLSI introduced back in May 2020. I have to mention here that the brainchild behind this COVID-19 certification was Dr. Rohanta and the rest of the Stop the Spread Rotary team. So I think, as Dr. Rohanta mentioned, I remember back in 2020, one Sunday afternoon in April, Dr. Rohanta introduced himself and gave and mentioned about a certification, a company that adheres to MOH guidelines. But I explained to him, we cannot certify a company to a guideline. We can certify only against standard. So COVID-19 was a new phenomena. There were no standards. There are Therefore, first of all, SLSI had to comply a standard as to how we can manage the spread of this COVID-19. To this, Ministry of Health, specialized doctors and system standard consultant, Mr. Arjuna Somaratna of Somaratna Consultants, helped SLSI with his knowledge free of charge to draft the new standard. So within a short span of less than 1 month, while working from home, we managed to introduce the world's first COVID-19 standard to stop the spread. After that, we introduced a certification scheme to give third-party assurance to the companies who adhere to the COVID-19 stop the spread standard. In hindsight, what we noticed was companies we certify, they have had COVID-19 patients even after we certified. But within that organization, that COVID-19 patient has not spread it to anyone else. That means chances of developing COVID clusters were minimized. Again, closure of companies were prevented. Normally, all the companies do their best to adhere to COVID-19 safety guidelines. But the customers or consumers, stakeholders, do not know whether that particular company adhere to safety standard or guidelines or not. So what does the certification does is SLSI, by going as a third party, assuring and telling the world that the company do adhere to COVID safety standards. This will first of all build the confidence of the employees that they are coming to a safe environment to work. Secondly, this will build confidence of customers, consumers, stakeholders. Thirdly, this way it gives a competitive edge to the companies as well. So if I just mention the difference between adhering to a guideline and complying to a standard is, with the standard, we have to systemize the whole process. Also, in a standard, everything has to be documented. Every step of the way you have to document. Also, in a standard, from top to bottom, from CEO to cleaner, they all have responsibilities. So when you comply to a standard, the sustainability is there. The first certification is awarded in May 2020. More than 200 companies thereafter certified. The second cycle in 2020 also more or less the same number of companies certified. As Dushan mentioned, that means that shows how important the certificate has been to these companies. Now the third cycle is going on in 2022. So from what we can understand is COVID-19 is something we have to live with. That means always we will have to adhere to precautionary measures for COVID-19. Thank you. Dr. Hunter.
Thank you very much, Doctor. So the certification has a 3 steps approach. The first step is the awareness program that is created by SLSI to the companies, and the chairman and the CEO of the company has to be present in this program. The second step is when the whole company is audited from the time that a person comes in from the gate right up to the point that that person leaves. Every single step is audited. For instance, when they walk in, do they go through a footbath? Do they, even if they use a pen to signature their arrival, or if they are doing automatic process, how does that kind of spread this virus? Then it will go right up to the locker rooms, into the space where they work, and then what kind of space that you need to maintain, then how the eating habits and how the restaurant needs to be configured to fit into, to ensure that if somebody is infected, that it will not spread. So likewise, it goes right to the top, right across the organization. And the last one is when people sign off that they're going to follow this behavior, and that includes the chairman and the CEO of a company. I yet remember how one day Dr. Siddhika called me and said, Ronta, that particular company cannot be COVID control certified because the chairman and the CEO is not wearing the mask. And I had to, after that, intervene, because they are the owners of the company, and they said, why should I wear a mask? So that is the kind of detail that they go through before the certification happens. And today we are going to invite a person who has actually gone through this certification in their organization, and a person whom is actually a model to many of us who drive it. Can I invite the director of operations, Ranesh Jaigoda, who is going to talk about the operation. Ranesh, over to you.
Hi, thank you. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the Chamber, Mr. Govindasamy, the Rotary and SLSI. Thank you, Dr. Rohantha, for inviting me. So it all started when Dr. Rohantha spoke to our COO, Mr. Janek Jayasekara, who was the most the instrumental in handing me over this task. So as Dr. Siddhika said, we had the support of the COO, the directors, everyone to make this to go ahead with this, because when COVID took over Sri Lanka in March, we as a market leader, we knew that we had the national responsibility.
Can we all please mute?
Yeah, we had the national responsibility of protecting our value chain and our internal and external shareholders. Like we had about close to 2,000 workers and staff working with us. So we were, as many of the told about the MOH guidelines were implemented. We had the COVID certification, COVID control committee, the masks, the sanitizers, the engineers building all these food baths, everything. But for the first initial stage 1 audit, we had a visit from Mrs. Vijay Surya, who's so knowledgeable about this. So she took over us on certain points that we thought that really helped us on the risk assessment, the improve of the safety control plans and all that. So we even went into scrutinizing the sanitizer supplies, that we wanted NMRA approval, the percentage of alcohol there should be, and the microbiological efficiency of the sanitizer. So we went into detail. So we stopped mass contamination. So lots of contact tracings and the documentation that we had to do. So even the lunch room, we provided a doctor also. So at the end, at the end of the 2 years, I think with the certification, we had a recertification as well. So we found for the last 2 years, we didn't have a single cluster from our warehouses. So we had that occasional 1 or 2 contact persons, but we never had a cluster. We didn't even close a single working day. So actually, it boosted our production. I think 2020 and 2021, we had the largest production for 2017, 2018, and 2019. So it was the largest. So I think the most important thing is the SLSI. They from the documentation, staff thought process was changed. The new objectives were created for COVID policy. So the procedures were all documented. So everyone has to adhere to all from top to bottom. They have to adhere all the guidelines. So it's I think it's all about the standardization guidelines. So everyone dependent follow the COVID safety protocols. So I think from this certification, I think it was for us as ACBA, it was easy to adapt to the new normal. So it's all about the change in mindset, and ultimately we never let our guard down. So I think more companies should adhere to come on board, and it's about the when it's certification, everybody is scared of a certification, but I think this is about a lifestyle. So I hope we could get over this COVID hurdle and adapt to the change. Over to you, Dr. Athuvaran.
Hello. Thank you very much, Ranesh, and appreciate sincerely for the thoughts that you've shared, and I'm getting a whole set of questions coming in. The first question which has been asked is, could we kindly mute, please? Sorry. So. Gentlemen, could we mute if you don't mind? Yeah, thank you. First question that's coming out is to Dr. Siddika at the SLSI, and the question is, how much does it cost for the certification?
Okay, Dr. Hunter, that we have 4 categories for that. So the category 1 is employees up to 10, only 10 employees. That is for the SMEs. And annual fee, that is not a monthly one, just one time annual fee is just 15,000. And for the category 2, employees between 11 and 25, annual fee is 25,000. And category 3, employees between 26 and 50 is 75,000. And category 4, employees above 50 is 100,000.
So what you're saying is that the maximum for a certification program is 100,000 rupees.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And I think you must allocate 10% of that money to Rotary, madam. So great, Ranesh. There's a sorry. I'll first ask this same question coming from one of the members to Dr. Siddika. How long does it take for the certification to happen?
So first of all, they have to apply, and then after that, we ask them to do a sort of a risk assessment. So when they are ready, they ask us to come and do the first audit. So if everything is okay, we have to wait 1 week for the second audit. So after that, if everything, there's no non-conformities, then and there we can give the certificate. So like maximum 2 weeks if everything is in order.
Okay. So when you say in order, obviously there'll be some kind of areas that need to be improved. So does it mean that the company needs to correct it and again get back for you all to again certify?
Yes. After the first audit, we give them what to do. And I mean, that's why some people need a week, some people need more than that, some people need 1 month. So once they show us the corrective actions and all that, then they tell us when they are ready, you can come and do the second audit. So normally after the second audit, everything is okay, is in place.
Thank you, Doctor. There's a question for Ranesh. The question is, you all have diverse facilities, and how many facilities are COVID control certified, and how long did it take practically for you to go through the program?
We have about 5 facilities, which has about roughly about 2,000 workers. All of them are, except for one, which is Quick Tea. All of the other Akbar Brothers facilities are all, we have taken the SLSI, I think 1672 standard already. And for us, I think it took on about 2 weeks to get it all. First audit, as Mr. Dr. Siddika said, we had some non-conformities that we should correct. And we managed to do that. And within 2 weeks, we got the certificate.
Pranesh, another question is coming to you itself, and it is, did you find practically the people maintaining this new behavior set, or was it hard for them to again go back to, or were they going back to their old habits?
I think even when the government eased the restrictions, we didn't ease it in our factories. So it's been a continuous process. So everybody has adapted, and actually when we don't let the guard down, people do from top if they are adhering to all this. So far we didn't have any problem. So even the mask, the sanitizer, everything is going on as normal from the start, like from 2020 onwards, it's still happening.
Thank you. Thank you, Ranesh. Question to Dushan Sosa from a more global level. Do you feel that this certification can help in the overall branding of the company? And, will it be helpful from a more branding perspective? Dushan? I think he's having some connection problems. We found that the answer to that question was that we found that some companies use this in their marketing efforts. So they went and told all their global customers that they are a first COVID control certified company, and there was a ceremony that they held. They put it on all their packs with the SLS logo, and they used it also as a positioning tool in the global marketplace. Dr. Siddika, there's a question coming to you.
I was on mute. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think just following up on what you said, it will have absolute brand value in the global market because I believe there is an initiative by SLSI to get an international certification for the current COVID certification that they're doing, because internationally, as Dr. Siddika said in a discourse, this is the first time ever that certification is being done on this front. It's been now 2 to 3 years since COVID, but we have not seen an international certification come out yet. The SLSI is affiliated to the International Standards Organization, and I think over a period of a couple of recertifications, they have plans to apply for international certification. So then this local certification will be recognized globally, and it will be of immense value for branding your organizations both locally and internationally.
Thank you, Dushan. Appreciate. Yeah, that's a very important point which you mentioned. The question is coming from Dinesh Silva. Let me just take some questions that are all put on the chat. Dr. Siddika, will you be able to share the standards? Dr. Siddika?
Dr. Rohanta, I just replied. I gave my email address. They can email me with a request, then I will send it.
Right. So the process goes is that official email has to come to the DG CEO of Sri Lanka Standards Institute, and Dr. Siddhika is personally driving it. Then a set of standards are sent to you where there are certain questions to be answered. And once that set of standards or the questions are answered and sent back, it is only thereafter that a meeting is scheduled for the first audit to be done. And then post audit, if there are anomalies, those have to be adjusted. Then subsequently another audit happens, and then only it would go on in terms of the certification process. So that's how it goes. Then there was another question. How often do you all monitor whether these guidelines are strictly adhered to? Dr. Siddhika?
I think every 6 months we have to go and audit. Normally other certifications we do yearly, but this one every 6 months. So, but that the 6 months is not an audit actually, just to see whether everything is in order.
Okay. And if there is not, if you find there are certain observational anomalies, then of course, I suppose you would proceed towards doing a proper audit to make sure that the company sticks to those guidelines. See, a very important point, that needs to be understood is that SLSI is not playing the role of a policeman. SLSI is only helping to put a process in place in the company, and the company staff and the COVID control certified leader must try to see how they could, adhere to that new behavior. And SLSI will only help you to make sure that, that you don't have one single day where you have to stop the plant, or for that matter, a cluster emerging like what Ranesh was saying. So it's not policing in any way, or there is no that kind of a legal binding. It's only mainly as a process to make sure that the company is protected. There's a question from Dinesh Silva.
Dr. Ahanta, it's just that when you, with the standard, you have to document everything, every step of the way. So with that, policy is not needed also if you document everything. So that is there. So even a CEO can see whether they have done that or not. That because of the documentation, I think that's what the most difficult part. But that is what really helps at the end as well for sustainability and all that. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Siddhika. There's a question from Dinesh Silva to Ranesh. Do you have physical meetings with proper COVID protocol, or do you all recommend online meetings? Ranesh?
I think even in the start we had some physical meetings, but when on the first meeting that you appoint leaders to certain to all these protocol places. So after that you can do online training, online meetings, and monitor it every time. But the most important thing that the leaders that you assign has to communicate back to you, and so that you can take better decisions.
Thank you, Ranesh. There's a question to the DG Pubudu. The question is, how serious is the government on making sure that the COVID control, COVID this time is not going to spread and is going to impact the overall working of the private sector? Over to you, DG.
Thank you, Rohanta. However, I just want to tell you that I'm not representing the government here. Although I work for a project, the Global Fund at the Ministry of Health. So therefore, I'm sorry, I'm unable to give that in the perspective of from the government. But as a person who is working there with the Ministry of Health, and also the organization which closely working with Ministry of Health, I could tell you they're really serious, and they do their best Actually, they have invited all the UN organizations, including organizations like ours, to partner with them on this matter, even to to get this mask or even to the sanitizers. In that, even to procure that, they have been kind of working together with these UN organizations. Currently, it's continuing. I'm 100% aware because I too involved in, as my organization, also part of that work. But much more than that, I guess, Rohantha, the giving due consideration to the current situation of the country, I think the priorities are different. I think the priorities are the medicine, priorities are to life-saving medicine, and also the critical illnesses such as cancer and many other. So Ministry of Health is very focused on to that, but not forgetting and giving due consideration to this controlling this COVID. But there is a huge issue, as you could see, that impact due to the current situation. But their priorities are remain as same as yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. Buddhu, there's a question which says, Dr. Siddhika, I'm not sure whether you can answer this question, but let me ask you this. Should we take the fourth jab?
That I can't recommend or comment on anything. Sorry.
But as per the government rules and regulations,
The government
it is.
have to, yeah.
Yes, we government rules and regulations. I mean, as a DG and a CEO of Sri Lanka Standards Institute, she doesn't have the jurisdiction to comment on that as a government official, which is why she made that comment. But I suppose if we look at it from a Rotary point of view, our view is that vaccinations are very important. And I think, DJ, would you like to talk about vaccinations and our efforts in polio and what we do globally and how we believe in vaccines? Ubudu?
You are talking about, yeah. Yes, yeah. Thank you, Rohantha, for that opportunity for me to speak about. Friends, the Rotary is very committed. Rotary's priority is eradicating polio from the world. We are almost there. Actually, there are just two countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan, being, in the last bit we are on. And every dollar Rotary raises is being matched by the Bill and Melinda Foundation by $2, like 1 to 2. So therefore, all our priority, the funding priorities are on to polio because we care our children. So even one single country is not polio free, it is very high impact to us. It's like a disease that can come back to Sri Lanka. So therefore, it's our priority. With regard to the vaccination, Rotary is in the consent or the rather agreement with the vaccination. In fact, whether it's a third dose or the fourth dose, what we are saying is be protected, because that's the only preventive measure that the Rotary also agree on this with the healthcare and the other authorities that put into. Unfortunately, Sri Lanka may not be in the real condition to receive this, the comfort of having third to the fourth to the fifth doses because of our economic situation. But the vaccination is the focus of Rotary as well as a preventive measure to our people. Thank you.
DG, there's a question coming to Dr. Siddhika. Post this meeting, if there's a rush of applications that will happen, what is your, how would you handle it from the SLSI end? Can you all handle multiple facilities for certification? I know this. We had this problem last time also, Dr. when there were so many companies, and I think it was one company that wanted to certify 150 outlets. So you all had to scale up. Dr. Siddhika, over to you.
Yeah, Dr. Hunter, I think in the height of the pandemic where there was a big rush, we managed So now we have more auditors and we have external auditors also. So we are fully equipped for any Russia, I would say.
So, thank you very much. It is accredited. Okay. Let me see whether there's one.
I wrote it
question.
for the answer.
Oh, lovely.
Is the SLSI standard globally recognized? One Mr. Kasun Vijayakon has requested a question. So for that I wrote that.
I have sent Dr. Siddika's email also so that everybody can has access to. One last question, Doctor, before we conclude this discussion. And the question is, how does Sri Lanka Standards Institute see the pandemic, whether this pandemic is going to come to a close or whether this pandemic is going to continue globally? What is your view personally, and not as a DG of SLSI, but since you're a graduate of Johns Hopkins University, what is your view of this whole virus is the question.
I think, Dr. Anta, it looks like, because now the whole, world is, interconnected and all that, and it will, not disappear altogether. So, but it's getting milder and milder as well. So I think we will have to live with this virus and with precautions for quite some time. That's my view. So as long as we take precautions and adhere to guidelines and everything, I think nothing to worry, and we can get on with our lives without thinking about it.
There's a question from thank you, Dr. Siddika. There's a question from Lasni Subhasingha. We need to know how the process is going and how to start the audit. So the answer is given, which is where you have to first send an email to SLSI, and the email address is on the chat. And then from there, there's a set of documents which will be requested for a question and answer, which could be done maximum in 2 days. And as soon as that happens, SLSI gets a view of the processors internally, and then they would set up a meeting for a standard meeting for an audit to be done. Doctor, I remember you used to do sometimes the audits online. Does that happen even now?
Actually, the first audit we can't do online because this is a safety one. So only the second one we did it online. Okay. Even now we can do the second one, but the first one we need to go because we don't know the company or anything without going for the first one. So once we get an idea about the company, we can do the second one. But the first one, of course, we had to go physically.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siddika. And as at today, we have got almost 12 schools who have applied for the COVID control certification. So it's not only companies. Now it has been moved to the sector of education, because people don't want the schools to close, and so that's good news that it's moving to the schools, and it's starting from all the international schools, the COVID control certification program, which is fantastic. There is a hand which has been raised by Nilanta. What is the validity period of the certificate is a question coming from Cheja. So, Dr. Siddika?
1 year.
Okay. And that's fine. Yeah, and then it's renewed, I reckon, for the next year. Yep, that's fantastic. That is all we have for today. It's 11:40. We started at 10:30, exactly 1 hour, 10 minutes. We actually wanted to curtail this for 1 hour. Thank you very much for taking part. And can I invite our district governor Pubudu to share her closing remarks, please, on behalf of one of the premier service organizations globally, Rotary, and doing fantastic projects. There's another huge project that Rotary is going to get involved in the next 2 weeks, which you all will get to know. It's going to really change a lot of things in this country, but maybe we are not in a position to mention that. So can I ask District Governor Pubudu for the closing remarks, please?
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Rohantha. Very special thanks to Mr. Bhuvidasamy and also to the members of the Chamber of Commerce for coming on this busy Tuesday morning to discuss with us how this whole process has been, established in last 2 years and what we could do. Actually, it's for us, for our country, and to all of us individually. Sincere thanks to everyone at Chamber, and also to the very special thanks to Dr. Siddhika and the SLSI team for giving us this, actually, the very innovative, the process that anyone could easily follow, and also to get you aware how we could get it if you all have not done it already. Also to all the speakers, including past Governor Dushan and everyone, thank you. What I have to say is Rotary is always committed to save our country, for especially in this kind of national requirements. We are not the only one who are doing it, but we are always with you, very especially the private sector colleagues, all of you, and we look forward to your support. As Rohantha mentioned, you will get to know our next focus for our country. Economic development is the priority of all of us, so Rotary is on that path. So look forward, and requesting all of you to be with us. And thank you once again for all the support you all have extended to Rotary on behalf of everyone who lives in this country. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And let me close this meeting.
Thank you, Rohantha. Thank you, Dr. Siddhika. See you all.